Hi, this is Roy Choi for Techno Buffalo, and I am here at the Chargepoint booth at CES 2013. And I have with me here the president and CEO of Chargepoint, Pat, and we're going to talk about the Chargepoint network. So, Pat, how big is the network for Chargepoint, and what do we expect to see in the growing future?
So Roy, right now we're coming up on 11,000 charging ports that are provisioned on the network in North America alone. We do have an international presence. To give you an idea, there are about 72,000 cars on the road right now in the US as of the close of the year that have a plug. We should see over 100,000 new cars come onto the market next year, and if the charging stations continue to grow proportional with the penetration of those cars, we should over double in size just to have enough capacity to have all those cars charged.
Wow, that's great. So I know that we saw the level 3 chargers, and we know that the network is changing and evolving with newer cars and newer technologies. What kind of things should we expect, and what happens if, let's say, the standard were to change or the network were to change?
Well, there's some good news for drivers. The standardization process that all of the auto manufacturers have been working on for a lot of years is sort of kind of come down to two standards. There's the Chargepoint standard that many Japanese automobile companies have on their cars, and then there's the SAE combo connector that you're seeing come out on most American manufacturer or European manufacturer cars. So it's very likely that in any given market, for the foreseeable future, there'll be no more than 2 connector types that'll deal with the DC charging. You do see some chargers already, like one from one of our partners, DBT, that supports both the SAE combo and the Chargepoint connector in one charging station. It's kind of an either-or thing. You can pick either one and charge your car.
We know that there's many players in the market. Blink is another one, GE. What differentiates Chargepoint's network from, say, any of those competitors?
So, I mean, there's a couple major things. The most important is that we focus primarily on our network, not on our hardware. Even though we make very good hardware, we are a completely open network, and we have invited every hardware manufacturer out there that makes charging stations to bring their hardware onto our network and be part of the Chargepoint offering. If you look around our booth here, for example, you'll see a lot of hardware with logos on it that are not ours, not from Chargepoint. So it's the most open network out there. It's the only one that accepts hardware from just about every vendor out there. Now, if you look at our business model is we like to tout ourselves as the largest network of independently owned and operated charging stations, and that independently owned and operated is really crucial. The business that decides to put these stations in front of their business decides the pricing model, who can access it, etc. So we're kind of the glue that binds this community of charging stations together, but we allow the freedom for the business owner that's actually paid the money for the station and is providing that service to their drivers to set it up the way they want. But it's still, for a driver, one card, so your Chargepoint card works anywhere, right? One mobile app, just one account online, one payment method, all that sort of stuff. So we keep it simple for drivers, keep it very flexible for station owners.
Potentially, I could go and purchase my own Chargepoint and be a part of the network?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so let's say you owned a retail store. You could decide that you wanted to put EV charging out in front. You would either buy our hardware or someone else's that was on Chargepoint. We actually don't care, whatever works for you. You would pay for our services as a subscription, on an annual subscription. You get a web portal that basically lets you control the entire charging experience for your customers and decide who can use the station at what time and how much they're charged.
You hear that, John? We can get our own charging station at the offices. So if I'm driving around my car, my electric car, people stop me all the time and they ask, 3 questions. It's always the same 3 questions. How do you like it? How long does it take to charge? And how much does it cost? In terms of newer technologies or expanding the range on vehicles, how do you expect to change your business model? How do you expect to help people move their cars faster along so the next person can get in the future?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 really good points there. First of all, as in the near future, Batteries might get a little bit bigger, but I think the auto manufacturers want to make the price point a little more accessible. So as battery technology gets better, they'll more likely put the energy into making the car cheaper at the same range versus expanding the range. Although at the high end of the product line, I'm sure people will give expanded range as well. Different strokes for different folks. The interesting part about how people drive EVs is very different than gasoline cars. You do not wait till you're on E and then go charge it up and then wait till you're on E again. So whether you have a battery that goes 300 miles or 50 miles, you're going to top it up everywhere you see a plug. And so the amount of time it's going to take to get you back to full isn't going to change much depending on the capacity of your battery, because most of the time, if you were full at home and you showed up at work and you had a 20-mile commute to work and you plugged in at work, you're going to put 20 miles worth of charge back in, whether your battery was a 300-mile battery or a 50-mile battery. So that shouldn't change a ton. What will change, I think, from a business model perspective, is you're just going to see a much broader number of EVs out there at a much, much broader set of price points. And there'll be elements for long-haul charging in highway applications where there'll be more DC. Right now, there's very little DC charging deployed. There'll be some, but I think the workhorse will continue to be the level 2 chargers at most locations where you're parked for an hour or more.
So. What's up next for Chargepoint? What do we expect to see in the next few years?
Well, I think what you're going to see is first of all, you're going to see a lot more. We've already got a good percentage of the hardware manufacturers on the network. We're going to continue to add more hardware manufacturers to the Chargepoint network to give them more flexibility to our station owners. You're going to see a lot more services for our drivers. You're going to see some new mobile applications that I think are going to have some great features. You're going to see just lots of features that are going to help that driver find that station, get connected with the business owners that have put those stations out in front. We've already released a feature called Chargepoint Connections to allow those business owners to connect to those drivers and offer them potentially charging perks and things like that for patronizing those businesses. Lots of stuff along those lines. We're going to continue, obviously, to support the deployments. So we're going to expand internationally to a larger degree than we've already expanded. So I think you should see some pretty exciting things.
That's exciting. So thank you again for taking time to meet with us. Once again, we're here at the Chargepoint booth at CES 2013, meeting with Pat Romano from Chargepoint, the president and CEO. I'd like to thank him for his time. Check us out on technobuffalo.com for the latest CES 2013 news, and we'll see you soon.